I, sitting my desk, certainly had the authorities to wiretap anyone from you or your accountant to a federal judge to even the president if I had a personal email.
NSA leaker Edward Snowden speaking to The Guardian. Today we have new revelations about a program that could back up his claims. Guardian columnist Glen Greenwald is reporting on a tool called X-Keyscore, which allows NSA analysts to search email, social media and even browsing history of internet users without prior authorization. And Glen Greenwald joins me now. Glen, another, why is it so serious? Tell me about X-Keyscore in a simple way that explains why you think this is such a serious situation.
First of all, Piers, the databases that this program accesses is storing 40 billion internet records every 30 days, essentially trying to store into its systems all emails, all online chats, all internet browsing that it can possibly get its hands on. An incredible power to vest in the state. But then on top of that, the program is designed to, as it says, collects, quote, nearly everything a user does on the internet. So it allows an analyst sitting at his or her desk with no oversight, nobody watching over their shoulder, be able to enter an email address, enter an IP address, use keywords, and then pull up the content of emails, people's browsing history, what websites they've gone to, what Google searches they've entered, what kind of Microsoft Word documents they've sent, essentially the entire range of activities that people engage in on the internet. It's intended to be a ubiquitous spying tool, and that's what it's been constructed into.
I want to play what Jay Carney at the White House said about this in today's briefing.
Allegations of widespread, unchecked analyst access to NSA collection data are false. Access to all of NSA's analytic tools is limited to only those personnel who require access for their assigned tasks. And there are multiple technical, manual, and supervisory checks and balances within the system to prevent those who don't have access from achieving that access.
I mean, I suppose my reaction to that when I heard it was, well, it's all very well, but Edward Snowden wasn't exactly high-ranking, and yet he managed to easily access all this stuff. So almost by default, you would say, well, that can't be true. Loads of people that can access this stuff.
Right. I mean, Edward Snowden was not only able to access it, he was authorized to access it. He was trained on how to use this program, which is why he had the documents that he was able to give us and tell us all about the program and his experiences with it. You're talking about thousands and thousands of people, not just people employed directly for the NSA, but also people who are employed at private contractors who are then deployed to the NSA, like Mr. Snowden. And what's most disturbing about it, Piers, is they can sit at their desk and there's no pre-search approval process. Not even a supervisor within the NSA before the search is processed looks at what they're doing, let alone a court. Which means that they're completely free to engage in all kinds of unconstrained searches. There are legal limits on what they can do when it only involves a U.S. person, although lots of U.S. persons' communications are in these databases, but there's no technological constraint and no real after-the-fact robust auditing process, and there's all kinds of evidence now emerging because of these disclosures of abuse. There's lots of proof in history that if you allow this kind of surveillance without limits, it'll be wildly abused, and I think that's why even in Washington these stories are now making such an impact.
Glenn, stay with me. I want to bring in now James Risen. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist for the New York Times. He knows all about questions of the NSA and freedom of the press. Also joining me is CNN senior legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin.
If I send you a Gmail, from my personal account to your personal account, and I say, let's play golf this weekend, Google will read that email and try to sell me golf clubs. So, automatically. A lot of what's gone on is that kind of automatic.
But the difference here, though, is that you have authorized analysts, and according to Glen Greenwald, thousands potentially, who can do more than that. They can actually get into this.
I'd like to ask Glenn a question about this program. Is this for just domestic emails, or is this for international emails, or both?
And the reason is that under the law, in order for the NSA to eavesdrop, to target an American citizen for surveillance, they need first to go to the FISA court. To target an American citizen and get approval. And of course, the FISA court always gives it. They're a rubber stamping court. But even for international calls, when an American citizen talks to somebody outside of the United States, those emails, those telephone calls, that activity is completely accessible by the NSA without a warrant. And on top of that, the NSA makes mistakes all the time. It's very difficult to know what the national origin is of communication. So all kinds of purely domestic calls get put into this database as well, into this database, this database, this database, this database, this database, this database.